This project is something that I've called the Tour de France, and it's a little bit of a play on words. It's something that I discovered when I went to a Connected Classroom conference, and I went to a session that was called Web Quests. And web quests are a way of having a problem and trying to have a learning activity from it. And so what I'm doing is I'm having my students follow the bicycle route of the Tour de France, and they are touring France. By doing that, they need to find out about the history of those cities, about tourist information, if they were going to actually do a tour of those cities.
The teacher introduces the lesson to her fourth-year French class. The students will learn about the geography and culture of France by following the route of the Tour de France bicycle race.
So what we are going to do is we are going to follow the route of the Tour de France bicycle race, and while we are doing that, you are going to be finding out about the history, the tourism opportunities in all of the cities in which the tour takes place. You are going to pretend that you are a tourism bureau, and you are going to try to sell this trip to prospective French-speaking tourists, because you're going to have to do the whole project in French.
The teacher walks the students through the WebQuest activity she has created to help them become familiar with the kinds of information they will find.
You will be able to actually email a tourism bureau in France and find out some information. Click on the book in the middle. You can actually just type in any town in France and hit search, and it will give you hopefully an email address, but if it does not, if they don't have internet access, and some of the towns that we're going to be visiting for our Tour de France are very, very small towns up in the Alps, and you would not be able to find out any information.
The students work in cooperative groups to divide their tasks among themselves. They then begin to search for information using the links on the WebQuest.
And what does our brochure entail?
The brochure is, you're this tourism bureau. So your brochure needs to be something that's going to be enticing to hand out to prospective customers.
So it doesn't have to be really detailed, it's supposed to be.
Right.
So PowerPoint is like more in-depth, and the brochure is just look, and then once you get their attention, then they...
Right, exactly.
Polotzk.
Oh, okay.
It has a lot of the cities in the area.
Yeah, because many of the cities are down in the mountains down in that area. Interesting. Beautiful photographs. Those would save real nicely and go nicely on slides because they're formatted as a photo,
The students use Inspiration software to organize their ideas.
The next thing we're going to do is to try to organize our information into our PowerPoint presentation. I know that you have found way more information than you can possibly use. Okay, you have internet sources, you have sources from the travel bureaus. We went to the library and you found out more things about the Tour de France. So you have to take all of that information and decide as a group how you are going to present it.
History?
I'm sorry?
History?
The history. Okay, so go ahead and type history and hit enter. And you see it branches off of there. What else?
Travel arrangements?
Travel arrangements. And hit enter. All right, now let's go to history. And we're going to select that. We're going to hit rapid fire again. What about let's break that up. What about the history?
Yeah, just the race itself.
Okay, the race. And something else? The cyclists.
The students create PowerPoint presentations to advertise their trips to prospective tourists. The teacher gives the students helpful information on how to use PowerPoint effectively.
And there's one other thing that you need to be aware of. what you see on your small screen when it is projected does not turn out exactly the same. There are some other things that you need to be thinking about, and she's doing a really good job of that here. She has a very dark background, so when you type, your font should be in a light color. Okay, so you see that that stands out pretty well. It's pretty light in here. I would probably dim the lights just a little bit. Go back, hit escape, and I'd like for you to change this to red. Change your color. You're going to have to go to more font colors and go, yes, that would be good, and hit OK. All right, and go to your slideshow view. Okay, red typically is not a good color, doesn't project well, and especially on a dark background. You wouldn't want to have a dark color like red. The other thing that we need to think about as far as fonts go is you want what's called a sans serif font. Sans serif means it doesn't have the little curly lines at the end. When that is projected, that tends to be distorted. You need to select the picture first. Okay, now I'll go to the drawing toolbar. Most of the time, if you just go to do flip or rotate, it's not selected, all right? You have to ungroup the photo first, ungroup the picture, and it says it'll distort you. Yes, that's okay. Now go back to that drawing thing, and now go to flip or rotate, and now you can flip it around the other way. And this part is where I always get goofed up of what, you don't want to do that. You want to flip, yep. Try that. There we go. And then, but here, this is going to be a problem. Because some of it is formatted to do that and other parts are not, it's not going to work.
Okay.
Because, so you're going to have to go back and flip it back. Okay. Up. And then go back and regroup.
So I probably...
You would not be able to do that for this particular picture. Okay. Because the tail and the mane stay where they're at. Okay. And I've run into that in a couple of them. Most things work that way, but I've only run into it in a couple of different pictures. You might find another one, I don't know, and it might work.
Another picture.
Yeah, and that picture might work.
The students also create brochures they could give to prospective tourists if they were trying to sell their trip.
All right, class, we did something like this earlier, and I'm just going to review really quickly how to set up the format for our brochure. First thing we need to do is to go to File and go down to Page Setup. And you want to click on the Paper Size tab. And we need to change from Portrait to Landscape. That's the first thing. Go to Landscape. And hit OK. Then you need to go back to File, Page Setup. We're going to reset the margins. Hit on the Margins tab, and you're going to change both the top and the bottom to 1. And hit OK. Okay, so now you see your 3 columns. However, it is all in just one page. We need to break it down so that you can work in each individual column and you could center everything. Right now, if I hit center, it's always going to put it in the center of the page, not in the center of each column. So in order to do that, we need to insert text boxes. I'm hearing some really good conversation, but what sort of things, how is this brochure different or the same as your PowerPoint presentation? How do you see these 2 different assignments? Jane?
You need to cut down and just give little bits of information, and you have to decide what's going to be attractive and what's short.
Okay. So in that way, they're both the same in that way. In both cases, you want to cut down the information and make it attractive. Dave?
I don't know about the other groups, but we're planning on making sure we stay in order of the stages. We're probably just going to maintain the order of stage and just go by not city, but like maintain that order from stage 1 to the end.
Throughout the bicycle race, okay? So what do you think you need? I mean, what do we need?
No more pictures.
Yeah, we need
need
more
pictures. And what else?
Where's our second page?
It's down here.
All right. Okay, that's the first page.
So here's your
And-
title.
Okay. Okay, we have what else? Maybe here, do we want to talk a little bit about the trip?
I don't know if we should delete words and add pictures because I don't
Yeah.
think we
Yeah,
should
well-
add any more words.
No, I mean delete all this stuff on this.
Sure.
Yeah, and then talk. Say this is how much it's going to cost. You get to see these things. You're in France for 21 days, and we can stick it, and we can embed a picture.
Do you want me to delete this?
Yeah, sure. Why not? All right. Then you're going.
The students present their PowerPoint projects to the rest of the class in French.
Now that we have finished the projects, the last thing is that we will be doing our presentation. There's one thing that I want for you to keep in mind as we're doing these presentations. We are going to choose what we will determine to be the best of the class. And that presentation we will actually broadcast over the ICN to another classroom in another school. So this is sort of our run-through, and all of you will have a vote, and we will determine which of the presentations gets to go on to the next step. Okay? So if you would please give this group your attention while they do their presentation.
L'année 1903, il a eu lieu chaque année à l'exception des guerres mondiales. Il y a 3 maillots que les cyclistes veulent. Le maillot jaune pour le gagnant en total, le maillot à pois pour le gagnant des attaques aux montagnes et le maillot vert pour le gagnant des attaques aux terres plates. Dans 2000, Lance Armstrong a gagné. Il a fini dans 92 heures, 33 minutes et 8 secondes.
The students decide which group gave the best presentation. The group they select presents its project to a French class at a neighboring high school via the Iowa Communications Network.
La histoire individuelle. Lance Armstrong est un Américain qui a gagné la Tour de France 2 fois. Il a gagné un match contre cancer aussi. Contre très mauvaises prédictions, Lance s'est remédié. Armstrong fortifié à cause du cancer. Frankie Andrew est un autre Américain. Il a fini les dernières 6 compétitions. Il sait qu'il n'avait jamais gagné, mais il aime la compétition, l'excitation et l'appréciation des admirateurs.
Comment avez-vous trouvé les informations?
Comment avez-vous? Vous avez compris?
Yeah, oui, how to say internet?
Internet.
Le Internet et la livre